I know what you're probably thinking when you clicked on this video. Nintendo doing something stupid? There's no way that's even possible. And yet the company that throws around in litigation as if it is a sport, in fact, did do something stupid. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new release of Metroid Prime 4. It's a video game that was extremely hyped and people were looking forward to it up until recently at the revelation of a very annoying support character that people were hopefully coping and thinking to themselves, nah, it's only a one-off kind of cutscene. It's only a one-off kind of character. Surely there's not going to be more of this nonsense on top of other nonsense in this video game. But unfortunately for Nintendo fans out there, or maybe fortunately, because a lot of them love to eat the slop that Nintendo loves to put out. It has been confirmed that not only are these support characters all over the place, by the way, but Nintendo has done something so egregious that truthfully, it's only really them that are capable of this. And this is speaking from a place of other companies doing unbelievably horrible things in terms of DLC and what they charge their customers. Nintendo said, hold my beer, I got something very special for the people that continue to support me no matter what. So hit that like button, subscribe button, all that good YouTube algorithm nonsense, and make sure to comment down below. Otherwise, your view is not going to count. And to be honest with you, that kind of sucks. Today, let's take a look at Metroid Prime 4, a video game that has been hyped for a pretty long time. People that I personally speak to on a daily basis have been looking forward to this game for a very long time. And to be honest with you, I'm not a real true Nintendo fan, never have been, never will be, never pretend to be. I did like some of their older content, obviously, because, I mean, we all grew up on Nintendo. Who didn't grow up in Nintendo at this point? But as Nintendo continued to do their nonsense, and as I continued to get older, I realized that there's just other video games that offer more for less. Better value, better everything out there, and the only thing that Nintendo offers now in this particular world of gaming is exclusivity. It's something that is slowly dying little by little, and there's brand recognition with Nintendo where other brands are going third party and essentially giving their video games to other platforms. Nintendo wants to have everything in their own ecosystem, and it really doesn't matter. They want to lock everything behind their ecosystem to keep you there, and that is one thing that is working for them and also slightly working against them. But at the end of the day, Nintendo is a massively rich company, right? This is one of the richest companies in Japan by far, especially for a video game company, or honestly a toy company, whatever they classify themselves as now or before, it doesn't matter. Nintendo is Nintendo, and they are bullies in Japan and all around the world. This is a company that is known for multiple lawsuits. It's a company that is known to try to stifle competition through using their Nintendo Ninja lawsuits. This is a company that is right now still actively suing Palworld because, well, they basically got their lunch stolen from them. You know, Nintendo was a company, along with Game Freak and Pokemon, that thought that they could release the same thing every single year and continue to make massive amounts of money. And to be honest with you, they absolutely were. It has been discovered that the budget for these Nintendo Pokemon video games are so low that with the millions and millions and millions of copies sold, these guys were making ungodly amounts of money. And then they have the audacity to charge you a, DLC for Raichu. It's unbelievable. But that's besides the point. We all know Nintendo has a long history of litigation. I mean, there's even a website called Sued by Nintendo where it tracks every single lawsuit, whether successful or not, by Nintendo, and it is vast. It is unbelievable. It is ridiculous, but it is Nintendo. That is just what they are. Now, Metroid Prime 4 has come out officially and it's released, and it is one of the lowest rated video games in Metroid series history. I believe at the time of filming this video, it is somewhere of around an 80, which in the grand scheme of things, it's still a good review score, right? If you compare it to other video games out there, 80 is pretty decent. But the truth is that 80 for Nintendo is actually pretty damn low. The majority of Nintendo games end up scoring much higher than that because, quite frankly, they're such simplistic games and they get so much glazing from not only the mainstream gaming media, but also players and Nintendo fans as a whole, that it's very rare that you're ever going to see a Nintendo game get a low score like this, or a lower score, I should say. Because again, an 80 is not a bad score. I don't want to sit here and pretend like it is, but it truthfully is the lowest scored video game in Metroid history, and you can see the decline as you compare to other Metroid video games that have released in the past. Now, you're probably asking yourself as you listen to this video, why is that? Why is this the lowest rated Metroid game? Well, to be honest with you, there's a couple of things that a lot of people are complaining about. Number one, we're going to talk about the support characters, and number two, we're going to talk about the egregious DLC that this game is hiding behind an amiibo. It's unbelievable. Wait till you hear about that. Use your timestamps down in the description box if you have ADHD and you don't want to listen to my voice for too long, although I hope that you would. Let's go over first the support characters. So I ended up seeing this video about a week ago, give or take, and to be honest with you, I just didn't care because me personally, again, I'm not going to play this game. I know I'm not going to play this game, so for me, it really wasn't super important. However, I do cover all gaming news, and people look to me for different opinions on different situations, and this is one of them. So now I'm going to cover it in this video and make it all encompassing. So there's a post here from 8-Bit Eric, and it says Metroid Prime Reddit. And when I saw this post, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Metroid Prime Reddit. Surely it can't be this bad, right? This is still a Nintendo game after all. Well, apparently it is. Check out this video clip. This is unbelievably cringe. Make sure you have your cringe pants on.
Sarge!
Armstrong, you all right?
I'm good. You?
Yes.
While I was waiting, I was studying this hologram. I just... Wow. Samus? It's really you. I don't even know what to say. Is this a new suit? It's amazing. I love it. I love it so
Private.
much. Yes, sir.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that unbelievable cringe. So when he says Reddit writing, this precisely is Reddit writing. This is where you have a side character fangirling over Samus. I mean, my God, man. Just looking at this is unbelievably cringe. But at the end of the day, listen, a lot of people thought that this would be a one-off kind of situation, that this is not going to be something that's going to be consistent throughout the entire video game, that it's just one particular side character out of the entire video game. Surely it can't be this bad. Well, apparently it actually is. There are multiple side characters that are so goddamn annoying that it's just completely taking people out of the video game. On top of that, if you look here over at this post, we have a post here from somebody called Lumpy, and it says there's multiple side characters in Metroid Prime 4 yapping at you the entire game. It wasn't just a tutorial thing after all. It's actually over, and ended up showcasing two particular paragraphs from, I'm assuming, a review, where it says, first, let's address the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the Miles McKenzie in your earpiece. To the purists, the addition of chatty support characters to a Metroid game sounds as about appealing as a weekend with everybody 1-2 switch. However, their presence in Prime 4 in the form of a squad of stranded Federation troops whom Samus rescues throughout the story isn't an issue by itself, but rather their clumsy implementation within an overall weak story. Miles, as feared from the divisive initial reviews, turns out to be the main supporting character in the game, gracing players with his Jar Jar Binks brand of comedy quips via intercom messages and regular visits throughout the game. The other cast members are also flimsy caricatures, including the equally irritating Armstrong, a Samus fangirl who winces at the bounty hunter's presence and at one point even asks her for an autograph. It's somber stuff for fans for the more grounded games in the Metroid series, and powers some dated gameplay segments, including escort protection, sequences that result in a game over screen if your AI companions aren't properly protected. All the while, they reward you with dialogue barks like, Sarge, look, she's doing Morph Ball. Other characters like the stoic Hunter Tokabi and the emotionless droid VUE-995 show how support characters could resonate more positively in future games if handled with greater care. Speaking parts have always been done in previous Metroid games like Dread and Fusion, though on a smaller scale. But here, their tonally disjointed application feels incompatible with a series that used to be about isolation, atmosphere, and overall mystery. So reading something like this makes me realize, that I always say, and I will continue to say every single time we talk about things like this, where you start to see established franchises that have a history of being one thing slowly but surely start getting changed to be something completely different. This is not necessarily about wokeness or anything like that. This is about the #1 problem in the gaming industry, in my opinion, that I've talked about in many videos and will continue to until I could be blue in the face, and that is quite simply bad writing. I feel like writers are the #1 issue that is plaguing not just the gaming industry, but entertainment as a whole. If we found a way to fix bad writers or unskilled writers that we are dealing with every day now, if there was a way to fix that, I swear to God, this would solve a majority of problems that are currently affecting the gaming industry. Yes, there obviously are woke developers. Obviously, there are psychopathic developers out there. But back in the day, there were still woke developers. There were still psychopathic developers. They were just smart enough to shut the hell up and just put out a good product, and they knew how to. But now, these days, unfortunately, they just don't know how to. The ideology has captured them so much, or quite frankly, even if they're not ideologically driven, they just suck. That's really what it is. Why do you think so many of them are being replaced by potentially AI? It's because they are garbage at their job. Writers are the #1 problem that are plaguing the entertainment industry right now as a whole. You can quote me on that whenever you want, because I truly believe that to be the #1 problem affecting everything. And this is obviously no different. So now that we know this, the poor characters are actually much more egregious than they let on during the initial clips that were being shared on social media, now let's talk about the #2 major issue affecting this particular video game, and that has to do with the desert. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this desert, this open world desert that they added to Metroid Prime 4. I gotta be honest with you guys, there is a post here that resonated with me very much over on X about Metroid Prime 4, and it is quite frankly about open world games, right? So every single video game is trying to become an open world video game, right? Very few video games that used to be linear are no longer linear and now are open world at this point, and it doesn't work with every single video game. And I gotta be honest with you, considering I played some of the older Metroid series games, I just don't like the idea of an open world Metroid, especially when it's done in such a lazy way, because Nintendo is not the kind of company that is going to do something with utmost care. They're going to do something in the utmost casual way possible with the least amount of effort. This is why their video games barely change. This is why they release the same shit yearly and people buy it up as if it's the new greatest thing, and they get away with it, because since they're getting away with it, why the hell would they invest money to make sure they do things right? There are so many comparison pictures between older video games from like the early mid 2000s comparing to 2025's Metroid Prime 4 and their desert maps, and how different they look, how the older games look so much better compared to a newer game. And that's because, quite frankly, Nintendo said to themselves, we don't have to go crazy here. All we have to do is provide an open desert map with a couple of tricks here and there that will keep the casual fans entertained, and that way it's just a free way to extend the gameplay past what it actually is, because we don't want to make a longer game, we just want to make a game seem longer. This post from Revenant says, my intuition around Metroid Prime 4 was completely correct. Open world ruins another video game that it doesn't belong in. You would have to be totally mindless to defend this. And I agree. There is so many examples of open world video games that should not have been open world but ended up becoming it because they thought that that would somehow garner more sales or garner more play time or whatever the case may be. It really truly is a shame. There are video games out there that should be linear narrative experiences that are fun from the beginning to end. You don't need an open world segment to convince everybody that you're somehow an open world video game. Please just go back to making the games what they were and people would buy it up. Although, to be fair, people are going to buy this up anyway because it's Nintendo. That's the sad part about this. It's very hard to see improvement in Nintendo video games because, quite frankly, their fan base are trained to buy every single thing that Nintendo puts out. There's also a lot of collectors in the Nintendo space, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. So let's talk about that amiibo. Let's talk about that DLC. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so there is a desert map that is in Metroid Prime 4 that you ride around your bike on and you explore, whatever the case may be, and you go to your next area for your next quest. And we have a video kind of detailing all of that in a second that I'm going to play, but just hear me out. So there is, in fact, and I am not kidding, ladies and gentlemen, when I say this, if you are unaware about this, brace yourselves. We have a post here from Dextero that says Metroid Prime 4 players have found out that there is in fact music in the game during the desert bike travel. One of the biggest complaints in this game so far is that the open world desert literally has no music. It is completely bland, it is completely boring, and everybody thought that's just how the game was designed. And people were questioning, why did you design the game like this? Why couldn't you put some, halfway decent music, something, anything? Are we really this lazy? Why would you do it? Well, apparently Nintendo's not this lazy. Apparently Nintendo did do it. But the only way to get it is by paying $30 for a Samus amiibo. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am not kidding. There is in fact music in the desert level, and Nintendo, being not lazy, actually did develop some music for the desert level, but they decided to say fuck you as a Nintendo fan, or fuck you as a casual player. You are going to get that music when you give us another $30 for a piece of plastic amiibo, and that way you can unlock your music. The figure plays music and grants a shield that blocks up to 99 damage and fully restores her health once per day on top of the music. I honestly, guys, listen, Nintendo is starting to get into the DLC game. They really didn't back in the day, but with this particular Nintendo Switch 2, they have gone all in. They're trying to go all in on third party. They're trying to go all in on DLC. We are talking insane levels of microtransactions, some of the most egregious things that I have personally seen. Again, the whole like day one Raichu DLC for insane money is ridiculous, and now you have a $30 amiibo that controls the music in a desert level, the entire desert level for the entire game. Otherwise, you get no music. Fuck you, you cheap bastard. You only gave us $70 for this game. How dare you not give us 100? It's, guys, again, I understand people are going to defend Nintendo, but at the end of the day, man, if I'm going to be out here roasting these companies for their egregious DLC practices, you best believe your ass that we're going to call out Nintendo too for doing something as ridiculous as this. And you're going to have some glazers out there. They're going to say, well, at least you get something for it. You get a collectible amiibo. Shut the fuck up.
Shut up, bitch!
You're stupid, okay? Like, I really don't know what else to say other than that, man. You are stupid. You are openly advocating to allow a company to charge you more money for something that should would 100% come along with the video game at a $70 price tag. Just look at this game. This game is not graphically, intensive at all. This is not pushing any boundaries. This game plays it very safe. And if anything, people are complaining about the storyline, which is, again, #1 issue in gaming right now with writers. People are complaining about a lot of things about this video game. Does that mean it's a bad video game? Not necessarily, but it means that they are clearly getting lazy with this franchise and they don't know what the hell to do with Metroid at this point. So now that we know about the review scores and we know about the amiibo and we know about everything else, let's check out this particular video that kind of sums it all very nicely. I saw this post from an X account called Tyran, and it said, this Metroid Prime 4 shit sounds like complete garbage. And this is from a Frogmire YouTube video, so shout out to them. We're gonna play this clip. It's about 1 minute 34 seconds. Check this out.
Let me tell you a real scenario that happens in the game. Not only does it happen, it will happen to basically everyone who plays the game. Miles, a character who we'll get to later, is like, you can tackle any of these 3 areas. So you travel across this giant desert and you get to the ice area, except you can't progress because of the ice wall. Okay, I guess I'll have to get a fire weapon of some sort. So you leave, drive across the giant desert again to go to the fire area, except that's blocked off too. You fool, you thought you could play video game in your video game, but it's not all bad. You find a fire chip and there you go. We can do it now. We can defeat the ice wall, except no, you can't. That would make too much sense. In every other game, Samus could equip her own power-ups, but now we need the engineer character Miles to equip it for us, and he is in a completely different side of the map, so we have to drive all the way across the desert again. And it's even worse than that. In order to get to Miles, we now have to watch a cutscene and wait for a loading screen, then watch another cutscene for him to equip the power-up for us, watch another cutscene to get back to the desert, another loading screen, travel across the desert again, and only now can we actually play the game. Do you see now how the desert ruins the game? Do you see how it makes simple tasks take agonizingly long? Do you see how they intentionally use it to pad the playtime?
Now, obviously, people are looking for someone to blame, and I totally get that, but there's going to be a little bit too much of that going on. I do, quite frankly, see the patterns, and, we got Smash JT out here saying, how are so many folks massively concerned over Metroid Prime 4 story and Reddit tier writing? Pattern recognition. Stop hiring activists at your company. They ruin beloved properties every single time, and ended up showcasing some of the writers that were credited in the cinematic section. If you look here, you got lead cinematics Cohen Wooten, you got contract senior writer Jesse Lee Keeter, you got contract writer Tracy Nicoletti, and you got contract narrative writer Emmy Fosty. Now, obviously, he looks up these people and realizes that they are, woke activists. Anybody surprised by that? They are woke activists. Tracy Nicoletti, and especially the other one, Tracy Nicoletti, ended up reposting something saying, I'm not concerned about males transitioning to females. I'm concerned about Americans transitioning into Nazis, right? So very clearly where the mentality is there. And then ironically, this other person, Megan Fossey, was put on Smash JT's Kotaku Detected not even that long ago. Back in 2024, in June, he added, it says, latest addition to Kotaku Detected, Megan Fossey. Fossey worked at Retro until 2022 and tweeted their support for the idea and personal belief that Samus is and will be transgender. Fossey no longer works at Retro Studios and hopefully did not impact the storyline of Metroid Prime 4. I'm sorry to say, Smash, I think they did. I think they did. It's pretty obvious here that I think they did have an impact, even if they're no longer there at this point. So again, looking at all this and realizing, you know, we know that there are activists everywhere in the gaming industry, all right? And even though this particular situation is not necessarily, you know, derived from wokeness in a way, at least not from the story's perspective, it's very clear that these writers just freaking suck, dude. Like, I really don't know how else to say that and get it in people's minds that the #1 problem affecting the gaming industry and entertainment as a whole is bad writers. We have lost the abilities to have so many good writers that we had back in the day that could tell us such amazing stories. The skill level for writing is so into the ground now, and the narcissism is so through the roof, right? You have these writers out there that think they're the top tier writers in the world, and they're writing some of the worst stories that we've ever heard, right? They have people out there, look, they got people out there that think they're better writers than Tolkien, okay? Like that's the level of narcissism that we're dealing with. Do I need to remind you what they said about Rings of Power? That they said they're going to write the book that Tolkien never wrote? That level of narcissism is affecting the entire entertainment industry, including gaming. And if you don't see that, I really don't know what to tell you at this point. So anyway, Metroid Prime 4 is another example of Nintendo, good old corporate Nintendo, showing everybody their true colors. And if you didn't know that Metroid was going to be like this, well, I mean, considering all the clips that we saw prior to release, at this point, I think it was pretty obvious, right? Everybody was hoping for the best. And even though the game is not bad necessarily, I feel like it still plays as a Metroid game at this point. The open world segments, the $30 DLC, and the terrible Reddit kind of side characters that nobody asked for really are just putting a sour taste on a game that should overall just be a Metroid game. But unfortunately, we just can't even get that anymore. So you guys let me know in the comments down below if you played Metroid Prime 4. What do you think about Metroid Prime 4? Do you enjoy it? Do you agree with the review scores? Do you disagree with the review scores? Do you agree with what people are saying? Or do you disagree? Sound off in the comments. Otherwise, your view is not going to count. Even though you're here at the end of the video and you're watching it, it doesn't matter. YouTube's going to say, screw you. You didn't comment, so it doesn't count. So make sure to leave a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, like, share, subscribe, all that good YouTube algorithm nonsense. And I will see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.